guys, welcome back to my channel. I need you to know that it is currently it's 49 degrees outside right now, which is amazing, and it's sunny, and I'm so excited about this day. However, that's not what this video is about. This is going to be a 2-month baby update and postpartum update. So yeah, my baby is 2 months old. He was actually 2 months old 2 weeks ago. I'm a little bit late, but I wanted to make this video to give you guys kind of a full-on update about both of us, because not a lot of things have changed, but like I just think it's fun to be able to share with you guys from month to month the things that happen with him and with me and keep you guys in the loop. So that's what we're gonna do today.
Hey. Azariah. Azariah. What are you doing? Azariah. Can you look at mommy? Yeah? What are you saying? What are those faces? Whoa. Whoa. Oh.
All right, the first thing that I want to talk about is feedings. So he is not, I can't say exclusively breastfed, because he does get 1 bottle a day. And I've got a lot of questions about why we give him 1 bottle a day, and there's a couple of reasons. One, because Craig wants to be able to have that experience of bonding and being able to feed him, and it gives me a little bit of a break too. So while Craig is bottle feeding Azariah, I will pump at the same time. That way I'm not like skipping a feed, if that makes sense. I just replace that feed with a pump, and then I store that milk back, and then like, you know what I mean? So like we'll just use that, constantly be like rotating. So like he'll feed with the milk that I pumped the night before, and then I'll pump, and then we'll just keep going. Does that make sense? I don't think I explained that right, but like, you understand. Right now, he is still feeding every 2 to 3 hours. We are not going longer than 3 hours. Usually, there's been some circumstances where we've like kind of had to go longer than that, and he's been fine. But when I've gone to feed him, he's been pretty like hungry, like pretty ravenous. But we don't go longer than 3 hours, because we want to make sure that he's getting adequate amount of calories throughout the day. That way he doesn't have to wake to feed. I've also gotten the question of have we had to feed him formula at all, and no. When we were in the NICU, they did require like formula be an option, because obviously you need your baby to be fed, and that's one of the biggest ways that you can get out of the NICU sooner, is to make sure that your baby is like feeding okay, whether it's from bottle or breast formula or breast milk. And so but we never had to use it, which is something that I want you guys to know, that I will never ever take for granted, the fact that I'm able to breastfeed my baby and that I have enough milk to provide for him. Yeah, I know that's a very like touchy subject, but I just want you to know that if you are a mom who was forced to, could not to, chose to, or chose not to feed your baby in any specific way, you are not wrong, and you are doing the best thing for your baby no matter how you feed them, because you're feeding them. He is doing some things differently right now when it comes to feeding. So he's spitting up a little bit more, which is not like, it's not abnormal for a baby who's 2 months old to start spitting up. I think actually the like peak of spitting up starts around here, and it's not like excessive or anything. It's just kind of like every other feeding, I would say. Sometimes he'll have like a little bit of spit up, sometimes it's a lot, depending on how full I am. Like his feedings usually in the morning is where he spits up the most, because I'm like extremely full, and I'll talk about why in a second. But yeah, I mean, I'm not concerned about it or anything, but another weird kind of also normal pattern that he's been doing is cluster feeding. So about 5 to 6 p.m. to about 11 to 11:30, he will cluster feed. And cluster feeding is characterized by like a couple different things. Like, I don't think there's any one like specific pattern that babies stick to when cluster feeding, because I've heard that sometimes babies do like short spouts of feeding very frequently. Sometimes it's like normal spouts, just like more frequently. Either way, it's just like more constant being on the breast or bottle feeding or whatever. It's just feeding more often in a shorter amount of time. And at first this was really frustrating, because I thought it was like me not having enough and he was getting like upset and he was still hungry, and that's not really the case. So for him, what I figured out, and this is specific to my baby, I figured out that it's he just wants to fill his belly before he goes to bed at night, because he has taught himself basically, and some of the things that we've done and put into place, to sleep throughout the night. So he knows that if he goes to bed with a full belly, that he doesn't have to wake up during the night. And that's obviously been really beneficial to us. It's just something that I've had to like grow with him on, because it is something that's like, cluster feeding, it can be kind of frustrating because they constantly are on your boob or wanting to be fed for that entire period of time. Like 6 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. is a long time and I can't really get anything done, but it's okay. Like if it means that he's gonna sleep through the night and be satisfied, that's completely okay. It's just definitely like a drastic change from month 1 to month 2, but yeah, it's okay. Next is how much he weighs. We just had his doctor's appointment when he was like the week that he turned 2 months old, and when they weighed him there, I think he was like 10 pounds, oh gosh, I'm gonna forget. He was like 10 pounds 5 ounces, I think. So almost double his birth weight. His birth weight was 5 pounds 13 ounces. That's like the 10th percentile of birth or growth. I'm not sure. The 10th percentile of something, which the pediatrician said that she feels good about that. She feels like he's gaining weight pretty well, especially for being a premature baby, and that he's chunky as ever. And yeah, she also, I had mentioned to her that he had been sleeping through the night and wanted to make sure that was okay with her. And she was like, absolutely, babies do not need to wake to feed at night, or you don't need to wake your baby to feed at night, as long as they surpass their birth weight. And he obviously has, so she's like, absolutely, if that's what he wants to do, there's no reason to wake him at night, especially since he's gaining weight and still having adequate amount of dirty and wet diapers throughout the day. So how he sleeps, I've kind of mentioned this a couple times already, but he sleeps in his bassinet, for one. That's a question that I get. We do not co-sleep. I will be doing a video within the month of April talking about his bedtime routine and the things that we have done to be able to encourage him to sleep through the night by 6 weeks old, which is when he started sleeping through the night. So stay tuned for that video. It is the most requested video that I've ever gotten in the entire history of me doing YouTube. So I'm really excited for that, and I'm excited to share that information with you guys. But I'm not gonna give you all the details in this video, obviously. His bedtime, I say this because we don't have like a specific bedtime for him. When he has like a consistent type of routine that he goes through to go to bed. Like if he wants to go to bed at 10:30, we'll put him to bed at 10:30. If he wants to go to bed at 11:30, we'll put him to bed then. We just kind of go off of when he is satisfied and gets sleepy, because if I feed him at 9 o'clock and put him down, I know that he is going to still be hungry. He's going to still be wanting to be fed, because his cluster feeding usually doesn't stop until 11:30, and I know that from just him consistently doing that. He'll take like a little short nap after his feed at like 9:30, and then he will have like a good amount right before he goes to bed. And he's usually by bottle, when we give him a bottle at that time, right before he goes to bed, it will be anywhere from like 150 to 200 milliliters, and 200 milliliters, let me look it up. 200 milliliters is 6.7 fluid ounces. So that's a lot, but it's also like, okay, it's just, again, it's him filling his tank completely. And I know that he's getting fed adequately each time that he feeds, because I am less full, and like I can hear him the entire time drinking. Again, he is having adequate amount of dirty diapers, that kind of stuff. He'll take that amount right before he goes to bed, and then I will do some things in his routine to kind of help him get extra sleepy, and then he will fall asleep in his bassinet once I place him in there. Because he sleeps 7 to 8.5 hours a night, another huge question that I've gotten is like, how do you do that with your boobs? Like, how are your boobs okay? They're not. My body is definitely not used to him sleeping that long yet, which is fine. Like, I'm okay with still waking up and having to pump. It's really no big deal. I have my LV pump, which allows me to be hands-free, so I can, you know, read my Bible at 4 in the morning or whatever I want to do. I usually have to wake up at like the 4 to 5 to 6, depending, hour mark to pump, because I'm so engorged, I'm so full that my body's like, hello, wake up, get this milk out of me. And then I just will save that milk back in a stash, or I'll use it in a breast milk lotion, soap recipe, it just kind of depends. Or I'll save that and use it for a different feed, like if we're gonna be somewhere and I need a bottle to be able to feed him with instead of on my breast, or if Craig has him, then we have that extra milk. All right, his clothing. It makes me so sad. When we brought him home, he was in preemie clothes, but newborn diapers. We always put him in newborn diapers just because they gave him a little bit extra room, and there was no need to put him in preemie diapers. Those were a little bit too small. But yeah, he was in preemie clothes. So he was in preemie clothes until about 6 weeks old, 5 or 6 weeks old, I can't remember. And then went directly to newborn clothes. Like his preemie clothes got small super fast. And then we had like 2 to 2.5 weeks, maybe 3 weeks of him being in newborn clothes. And then he went straight to 0 to 3 month. And he's in 0 to 3 month now. Sometimes he can get away with 3-month clothes, but they're like still really big on him. I think we have 1 or 2 things that are on the shorter side that we can fit him into. They're just like baggier. We'll put him in a newborn or a 0 to 3 month onesie without the feet, you know, just the onesie. And then if we're gonna put something over it, it'll be a 0 to 3 or a 3 month type of like jacket / like coat situation thing, because it's still a little bit cold here in Indiana. But in onesies, like just the ones that button in the crotch, he's still in newborns. It's just the sleepers or the footy pajama ones, those are the ones he's in 0 to 3 month right now. Let's talk about milestones. So many of you guys probably know by now that Azariah was born at 36 weeks and 5 days. So he was born a little bit premature. He was born at 5 pounds 13 ounces. And a lot of times, like pediatricians and developmental people, like physical therapists and stuff, they will go by a adjusted or corrected age. So basically what that means, I'm going to read you the definition, that way I don't butcher it. Corrected age or adjusted age is your premature baby's chronological age minus the number of weeks or months he was born early. For example, a 1-year-old who was born 3 months early would be a corrected age of 9 months. So for Azariah, he was born at 36 and 5, and which was like a little bit over 3 weeks early. So he's like, right now he is, I think, gonna be 9 weeks tomorrow. So he's like 6 weeks corrected age, if I did that math right. So because of that, when it comes to developmental type of stuff like gross motor, speech therapy, or physical therapy, stuff like that, they look at his corrected age to see like those milestones. So for a 2-month-old, he's doing pretty much, like I would say 98% of the things that 2-month-olds do within, you know, a couple weeks of them being 2 months old. There is one thing, however, he's not doing, and we're not really worried about it because, again, he's in physical therapy because of his spina bifida, and it's something that we're working on, but he cannot fully lift his head up yet. He tries, like he'll push through his shoulders and everything, and he'll lift his head up in different positions. If he's elevated, like if I'm laying back like this and he's on my chest, he'll lift his head up. It's just like the farther of a like decline there is, the more that he can't lift his head up, or he just gets like too frustrated. So we're really trying to work on that in physical therapy. I promise you guys, we've tried all the different positions. The only thing we haven't tried is the big exercise ball and like putting him on that and doing it, because I don't have one, but we are going to buy one soon to see if that makes tummy time a little bit more exciting. It's basically the only thing he hasn't done yet. He does really good with like tracking with his eyes. He can distinguish noises. And I use this app that's like a developmental milestone app that tells me different exercises and things that I can do, along with the therapy that the physical therapist gives me to help like further his development. And I really like that because it helps me feel like I'm bonding with him in a way, because I'm like helping him learn, you know? I read him books all the time. And one of the reasons why he is having like a harder time with his gross motor, is in like lifting his head up, is because he was in the NICU. So babies who are in the NICU for any length of time, whether it's like a few days or a week and a few days like we were, they just normally have a little bit of a delay in things like that, because babies who are born and not going into the NICU, they're in all sorts of different positions. They're being picked up, they're being held, they're being, doing tummy time right away, all those types of things. With Azariah, when he was in the NICU, we really couldn't do anything with him. He was in his little warmer a lot of the time, especially when he had jaundice, when we literally couldn't pick him up besides to feed him for, I think, like 2.5 days. So a lot of the time he was in one position, like rocking, he was on his left side and then going to his right side, and that kind of like hindered him from being able to know what it feels like to be in different positions, know what it feels like to be on his belly, and that there's nothing wrong with that. It just is something that we're gonna have to really help him with, and encourage him on, and keep like consistently doing tummy time, even though it's like frustrating to me because I don't like seeing him frustrated. But yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. It just is something that he might take a little bit of time on. Another thing when it comes to Azariah is bath time. He loves his bath time, loves it. There's only been a few times where he's been cranky during bath time, and it's because he is either hungry or tired. I would say 99% of the time when we give him a bath, he like splashes around. I mean, like we joke all the time that he's gonna be like an Olympic gold swimmer, because he just, as soon as he hits the water, his feet just go, and it's so cool to see, and he gets really happy, which is really encouraging to me, because I feel like bath time for a lot of parents is kind of like nerve-wracking. Are they gonna love it? Are they gonna hate it? You want it to be a good experience for them, and for him it has been. Last thing that I want to talk about when it comes to Azariah is some things regarding his spina bifida, just because I know you guys are gonna ask. There has been no development of any of the challenges that could potentially come with spina bifida. When he was 1 month old, around that time, we went to Cincinnati, and if you guys have seen that video, the neurologist actually told us that his Chiari malformation reversed, which is 100,000% a miracle. And he also said that he would bet money that Azariah will never develop hydrocephalus and need a shunt, and as of right now there are absolutely no signs of that. Hydrocephalus can develop really quickly, so we do monitor that all the time. We know that there's a very, very, very high chance that he will never get it, but it's not something that we're going to be ignorant to. We're definitely monitoring it and just making sure that he is doing great, but as of right now he's doing great. We were supposed to go back to Cincinnati for spina bifida clinic, which is just where he meets with all the specialist doctors and does some more tests and stuff just to make sure he's still good. But with coronavirus, they have canceled all appointments as long as they're not like urgent. There's nothing, pressing that we need to come in for. So as of right now, he is not going for that appointment. If he does, it might be like late May, early June. But yeah, that's kind of the update, guys. He is a little, like we say this all the time to him, because he moves his feet so much, and he like pushes off of me, and he just goes crazy. We say like, where are you going, bud? Where are you going to? Where are you running to? Because it's just so funny. It's like he already wants to try to stand, even though he can't lift his head up fully. He wants to try to stand. He wants to try to sit. It's so cute, and it makes my heart so happy, even though he's growing up so fast. Okay, a little bit of postpartum when it comes to me, since I'm now 2 months postpartum. The first thing that I want to talk about is postpartum anxiety. I will sit here and be real with you guys and tell you that I think that I have experienced postpartum anxiety. I don't think so much postpartum depression. I will say I definitely think I've had postpartum anxiety, especially when it comes to the trauma that I had after I gave birth to him, where they had to go inside and scoop out the rest of, all the membranes and stuff. I think just like living in the time that we live in right now of coronavirus, and knowing that like he is basically immunocompromised because he was in the NICU and he was born premature, and he does have a neural tube defect. Those are all things that like increase the chance of you being susceptible to getting coronavirus. So it's just a lot, and trying to just keep a human alive, along with like managing, I guess not even really managing, just like dealing with all of the hormones and the moods and just like regular anxiety that I have. It's just a lot. I have a friend who also she has a 2-year-old, and we've talked a lot about doing like a postpartum group somehow, to really just support women, because like I've said before, there is no support for postpartum really, because you have one doctor's appointment when you're 6 weeks postpartum and that's it. And for me, that's like not enough. I need like community to come around me and like ask things and be like, hey, did this thing ever happen to you that's happening to my baby? Like, is this normal? Can you guys like help me come to a conclusion that I'm not crazy? Stuff like that. Or just like encourage me, tell me that I'm doing things right. To have people around you who are willing to say those things and encourage you is really important. Postpartum is a lot. Something that I told my friend before was that, like, if I trusted God to create Azariah without my help at all, like if you think about it, Craig and I came together, created him, conceived him, and then from there, it was all 100% my body doing what it's supposed to do. And like, that's God. Like, God's hands were doing that. I had nothing to do with the development of him. I wasn't like every day being like, okay, today I'm gonna develop his nose, or today we're gonna form his feet. You know what I mean? Like, my body just did that because that's how God created my body. And if I can trust God enough to be like, well, God, I'm going to give this baby to you, and, you're going to form him in the way that you would form him, why would I not also believe that when he's outside of my body, he's also going to take care of him? Okay, body image. Ugh. I have struggled, you guys. I'm not going to say I've struggled loving my body, because I love my body. I love what it's done. I love what it's created. I love how strong it is, but it's just like foreign. Like, my body feels really foreign right now, because I went from being an extremely active, healthy, health conscious person, working out 4 to 5 times a week, powerlifting, weightlifting, cardio, to having a major surgery, being on bed rest for 3 months, having a baby, not being able to work out for 6 weeks after that, and then coronavirus happening and like all the gyms shutting down. So it's just like this very hard place that I'm at in my, I wouldn't say like body image necessarily. I would say like fitness, exercise situation, because I want to work out so bad. I want to go to the gym. I want to lift weights. But then there's the other part of me that's like, I can't do those things. 1, because of coronavirus. And 2, because I need to redevelop my core. I need to redevelop my pelvic floor and heal that area of my fitness. And I've just been finding it really hard, and I'm being very vulnerable with you guys right now, because I am a health professional. Like, I do health and fitness for a living. That's part of my that's part of my business, is helping women in their health and fitness. And I'm at this place right now where trying to retrain your core and like doing those very tedious little things is tedious. It's really hard, because you're not lifting weights. It's these very small movements that you're doing, laying on the ground, breathing, doing like belly pumping, tightening your TVA, like all of these little things that to me are like, they're just kind of annoying, honestly. Not because I don't like doing them, just because I'm not good at them. So I'm kind of 100% going all the way back to the beginning of my fitness journey, which is fine. Like, I'm great to have the chance to restart and like take this a different direction and like redevelop muscle and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But at the same time, it's it's a very hard place to be at with all the circumstances going on. I do have a lot, I do not have a lot of time, but I do have more time to just do those simple small exercises a couple times a day or whatever. I just mentally I'm struggling with getting there to the point where I'm like, I'm gonna lay down and like do some diaphragmatic breathing or do some little core movements. I don't know, guys. So I'm trying to find I'm not trying to find the motivation. That's not the words that I would use, because I've told my clients in the past, you don't need to find motivation, you just need to have dedication. And so I'm trying to get to the place where I'm like, no, I'm actually doing this because I'm sick and tired of not moving my body in the way that I want to. And I also want you to know I'm not putting this pressure on myself to look a certain way. It's just that I know how important it is to be active and to be health conscious. And like for me and for Azariah, it's really important to me, but it's not something that I'm like putting this pressure on myself of like, you have to lose weight, you have to look a certain way. Absolutely not. I'm so far past that, you guys. It's more of that, like, I crave the feeling of being active. I crave the feeling of being able to lift weights, being able to be athletic. So I'll get to that point eventually. I know that I will. And I saw something somewhere that's like, you know, it took 9 months for your body to get to this point. It took 9 months for your body to develop a baby. So why do you think it wouldn't take 9 months or longer than that to get to a place where you feel really good again, I guess. And again, that's different from person to person, so I don't want to stereotype or put anybody in a box. It's just for me, that's personally what's happened in my journey, and I'm giving myself a lot of grace. Obviously, I mean, it's one step at a time. The most important thing to me is Azariah, and if that means I don't get to go to the gym, that is so much more. He's so much more important than that. He's so much more important to me than that. That's basically all that I wanted to talk about. Craig and I's marriage is amazing. He's currently off of work because of coronavirus. His plant shut down, which, like, the whole coronavirus thing is not ideal, obviously. Like, it is very tragic. It's a very serious thing. But you guys know me, and I try to find the good in every situation because I've had to. And one of the good things that is happening right now in my life is the fact that Craig is able to be home with me and Azariah. We are able to build memories, create memories together that we wouldn't be able to if he was at work, which his work makes him work a lot. So I'm very grateful for that. Our marriage is thriving right now. That is it. If you guys have any other questions related to my postpartum journey or Azariah being 2 months old, comment down below and I will try to answer as many as possible. Remember to love God, love yourself, and love people, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!